Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about American top politics, and we're going to talk about Syria. All right, so something major is, and we're going to talk about it from the perspective of American politics, because that's all that matters in America, and that's where I live, right? So we talk about, hey, your country's got its own things going on, but it's all about America, right? We have an American king now, right? Like, we about to jump up in the world, and you're like, wait a second, Sky, it's not all about you guys. It is, right? Like if you pay attention to this last election, everybody in the world was talking about the American election, because that's not just an American king, that's a world king, right? What we do echoes to every nation on the planet. Ain't nobody free of us, right? You either owe us money, or we owe you money, or you owe us cultural credit, or we owe you cultural credit. It's all about America, baby, man. We are incredibly fortunate. Praise to God that he put me here. I'm extremely thankful for being an American. I could have been unfortunate enough to be one of my commenters recently said that he was in Canada. My condolences. So yeah, it's a thing. All right. So all right, let's get all the way there. Okay. So, actually, I do know somebody who lives in Canada. Now I got to apologize for all you nice people in Canada. I apologize for saying that. Actually, Canada is not as cool as America. I don't need to apologize for that. But I guess it's inappropriate to say my condolences for living in Canada. I'm just saying, I'm sorry that your country is not as good as my country. Maybe that's a little better to say, because that's not debatable. Well, America is definitely a lot cooler than Canada. All right, okay. I mean, we have a gasoline reserve which could be used to fuel every vehicle in the world. Canada has a maple syrup reserve. That's not a joke. It's literally real, right? All right, let's keep moving here. All right, so Syria, right? There's something really that's important, and I think that we should really start talking about this. What does Syria's government collapse mean for America? It's a big deal. All right, so let me walk you all the way there. All right, so first of all, I want to start talking about this issue, and I might coin a phrase. I don't have a phrase coined for this yet. Can I do it right on the spot? Right? Interest. So okay. So this Syria story, I did my research, right? So one, I saw what Peter Zeihan had to say, and I took my own notes. And that's not a small thing, right? Like, when I take notes, I can understand something. I can process the information. It's important, okay? All right. So I took notes, right? Then we get to the point where, yeah. And then also I listened to Ryan Macbeth. And Ryan Macbeth had like charts, like his stuff was on point. Then I read the Wikipedia page on Syria, all right? So I did my research. I still really don't have a strong idea on what's happening in Syria. Now, why is that, right? First of all, of course, I'm on YouTube, so people would come along and say, Scott, you're not smart. You can kick rocks. I am objectively smart, right? I have a degree. First of all, I graduated from high school. I don't take that for granted. I literally know people who haven't graduated from high school, right? By the way, if you are a high school graduate, congratulations to yourself, right? I have a degree. I have a bachelor's degree in political science, and I have a master's degree. I have an MBA, right? So I am objectively smart, right? Like, and I'm owning that because I want you to own it too, right? If you're smart, don't let anybody tell you you're not smart. And I get crufties up rolling up here and going, oh, Scott, you're not smart. Well, first of all, you can say I'm arrogant. That's fair, right? You could say I'm wrong on any topic you wish to, right? Lots of smart people are wrong, but you can't say I ain't smart, right? I'm objectively smart, right? So I took my smart brain, and if I was a Dungeons and Dragons character, no lower than 16 in intelligence, probably an 18. And I will say, I know people with 20 points of intelligence in the IRL. I ain't 20 points of intelligence. I'm a 16 or an 18, but I'm smart, man. I'm like I could play a wizard even in first edition. Okay, I'm smart. All right. So I come in and I apply my smart brain to figure out what's going on with with so I apply my smart brain to determine what is going on with Syria, right? And honestly, I don't know if I was fully successful. I wasn't able to do it. Now, why? Why? Right? Is because my intelligence is racing against my disinterest, right? So why is that? Well, first of all, it's commonly known. Americans really don't care that much about any other country in the world, right? And I think that's true. I'm an American, and I think I could count on one hand the number of countries I genuinely care about at all, right? Like, and so let me list them off, right? First of all, America first, literally America first, right? Like, I'm American for America first, America first, America first, right? Like I'm an American exceptionalist, right? I believe America is the greatest nation in the world, and that's not a debatable point. It's just concrete reality. All right, let's keep moving. All right, and there's tons of evidence. I'm not even going to list it because there's just so much evidence. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous conversation, right? We're the greatest nation in the world, right? You think any Americans were paying attention to the election in Syria or pay attention to the election in Poland? Nobody does, right? In both those places, they were paying attention to our election, right? So why? So there are some countries. I'll list them right now. I don't know why. Ireland absolutely fascinates me. Actually, I think it's the time of, was it the Great Troubles? Man, those people go hard, man. They were fighting each other for a long time and fighting with flair. Woo! Irish people, man, they don't play. They got some real flair when it comes to animosity, right? So I'm really fascinated by Ireland. I would love to see Ireland someday. And that's on my list. Okay. By the way, these are not in order. Next is Israel. I'm an evangelical Christian, right? Like, that's God's favorite country, right? I love Israel. Next is Japan. Super dope animation. Samurai, katanas, like all of it, man. Sign me up. Like feudal Japan, great history, great presence, great tech. Japan's just balled out. That's all there is to it, right? And I think that's it. I think that's literally it. That's all the countries in the world I'm interested in, right? Like, so there's this strong disinterest, okay, for any country that's not America. Now, there's a few countries that have been able to punch through, right? Israel, Ireland, and Japan. I would love to visit any of those nations anytime in my life. And I'm not sure I'll be able to, right? Because travel is expensive. All right. But, okay, let's keep moving here. So my intelligence is in a race with my disinterest. And I have a strong disinterest in Syria. Right. So first of all, when Ryan Macbeth explained Syria, essentially the problem is there's like 6 other countries like it. A sandy place where they disliked Israel. That's Syria and like 6 other nations, right? Like, got a lot of sand, don't like Israel. Enemy of Israel. Got a lot of sand, do not like Israel, right? And so I'm like, okay, you're telling me a whole bunch of information. How is this different than any other 6 major nations that got a lot of sand and don't like Israel, right? And so, like, it's really disinteresting and boring and complex, right? And this is not, and the reason why am I taking the time to explain this, right? This is a big deal, man. You need to pay very close attention to this. If people can't figure out what you're saying, they will not care, right? And so, like, for instance, Syria, the government is collapsing, and Americans don't care. They really don't care because they don't understand it, right? And Syria has not said, and I think Syria needed to say, hey, we need to be more than a place that is sandy that doesn't like Israel, right? And they didn't do the work to make themselves interesting and distinct, right? America's interesting and distinct. Ireland is interesting and distinct. Israel is interesting and distinct. Japan is interesting and distinct. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these nations. They're just like every other nation on their continent, right? Whereas all the 3 that I just talked about, they ain't. They are interesting and distinct. So Syria is not interesting and not distinct, right? And they did not do the work to make themselves interesting and distinct, right? So I will tell you right now, I think a lot of Americans have no idea what's happening in Syria because they are like it's just like 6 other countries that have a lot of sand and don't like Israel. I don't really know what's happening there. I don't know who really lives there. I don't know what their deal is, other than they have a lot of sand and they don't like Israel. And there's 6 other ones, and they all, it's like Nick Nolte and Mickey Rooney are pretty much the same guy. Like, do I really need to know which one's which? Right? Like, it's just, that's where I think most Americans are on this Syria thing. Okay. Now, why are we going to talk about it today? Well, all right. Let me tell you the things I was able to find out. One, Syria's falling apart. The government is crumbling right now. It's collapsing. Okay, that's a big deal, right? Any nation that's losing its sovereignty and is going up for grabs, and that's the issue. When your government falls apart, your country's up for grabs. That's new. That's brand new. Okay, and that's a Scott Garibay original. If your government falls apart, your country's up for grabs, in my humble opinion, right? Anybody who wants it can take it. Now, here's the kicker, though, right? Can they roll up with violence? No, man. This is like we got a civil war, civil world. We got a civil world here, not war, right? We got a civil world, right? We need to not attack people without reason, right? So Syria falling apart is not enough for America to take it by storm. No, it's not enough, right? But Syria has failed in its ability to reign itself, right? It has lost its sovereignty. That's a big deal. Why? American states, new American states. Listen carefully, new American states, okay? And I'm starting this with Syria, but I am very serious about this. Every American right now, we need the bloodless acquisition of new American states. So I did do some research. How big is Syria? Okay. If you took Syria and you laid it over the part of America where I live, right, it would go all the way up to Rhode Island, and it would go all the way down to Virginia. Okay? Then it would go all the way out to halfway across Pennsylvania. So Syria is about the size of 6 American states, 6 average American states. Let's not talk about Texas. Let's not talk about like Connecticut, right? 6 average American states is the size of Syria, right? So what we should do immediately is, and President Trump, he can be president now. He doesn't need to wait for this. He could just extend to the Syrian people and say, listen, Bashar al-Assad clearly sucked. He was just some, Nepo baby who, got put in the position because his dad had the job for a little while. He clearly partied a little too hard at, whatever, European university they sent him to. And didn't do a good job ruling the people. And now he finds himself on the outs, right? But your nation doesn't have the ability to sovereignly run itself. That's okay, right? Why don't you step on in to America? And then America can get 6 new states. And I, J. Scott Garibay, can travel there on, Southwest, right? Just take a flight there, not have to get a new passport or anything, right? Just go, land in Syria, South Syria, USA, right? One of the 6 new states, and I can get a Big Mac at the McDonald's, right? America needs new land. America needs new states, right? And every time any nation on the planet loses its crap, right, and loses control of its sovereignty, right, first of all, and then I do think we should be telling the world, like, hey, you lose your sovereignty, good Lord, right? Ukraine was a sovereign nation recognized all over the world, right? Russia just rolled in, right? If you lost your sovereignty papers, any nation in the world can roll up on you. Shouldn't, but they can roll up on you with violence. America roll up on you with billions, right? And I think what they should do is say, hey, every single Syrian person, we're going to give you $10,000 US, and you guys are going to be new U.S. states, right? And we could dump some money in. We could dump billions into this, right? Hundreds of billions into this. Frankly, I think we could give them $1 trillion. I think it'd be fine to give them $1 trillion because we could get 6 new states immediately. This is a good idea. This is the right path. And this is the start. Every single time going forward that some country loses its crap and is not able to hold its government together, the U.S. government should say, hey, right? First of all, you got some hungry wolves on both sides of you. Why don't you become the next set of U.S. states? We need the land, we need the expansion, and it can be bloodless. But if you don't want to take it, Russia's looking for new land, and they're willing to invade to get it, right? Like, so that's the issue, right? I really think every country where a government collapses, America should immediately try to get that land as new states, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. You get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.